The galaxy was silent. Not the kind of silence that brings peace, but the silence that comes before something terrible happens. In the center of that silence, near the Galactic Council's world, a small signal appeared. At first, no one noticed. The signal was weak, too small to be dangerous. But then the scanners began to show its shape. It was a ship, human-built. The word sent shock through every listening station across the stars. Human-built? That was impossible. Humans were gone, extinct. The last of them had burned away in the Great War, more than 300 years ago. Yet here it was, a ship made in the old Terran style. Steel-gray hull, sharp angles and a fading emblem. Sole command, the Council's high orbit filled with hundreds of alien warships. Their commanders barked orders, shields powered up, cannons locked in place. No one knew what this meant. Had humanity returned, or was it a ghost from the past? Inside that human ship, only one person sat in the captain's chair. Captain Ilara Voss. Her eyes were calm. Her hands rested gently on the glowing console. Outside, entire fleets surrounded her. Ships of the Vectra, the Drenakar Dominion, the Helian trade worlds, every empire that had once feared humanity's strength. Ilara looked at the holographic screen before her. It displayed the message coming from the Galactic Council's defense leader. Unidentified vessel. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed. Her lips curved slightly. Not a smile. Something colder. She pressed the comm switch. My name is Captain Ilara Voss. I am human. For a few seconds, there was no reply. Only static. Then a new voice came, deeper and nervous. That's impossible. Humanity perished centuries ago. Ilara's voice stayed calm. Then you are hearing a ghost. Across the galaxy, in countless systems, leaders and civilians tuned in to the transmission. Every empire wanted to see the face of the last human. News drones floated near her ship, recording every detail. Her ship looked damaged, dark scars along its hull, engines flickering with strange light. But the readings didn't make sense. The power inside the ship was far beyond anything in the Council's database. Ilara stood and walked to the viewport. Through the glass, she saw thousands of alien warships forming a circle around her. Their lights shimmered like a cage of stars. So many of you, she whispered to herself. And yet none of you learned. She opened a channel to the entire Council network, unencrypted, public. Every planet, every species heard her voice. I came for what you took. The words echoed like thunder across the void. The message repeated on every frequency. No one knew what she meant. What did they take? Who gave her the right to stand before all of them alone? Inside the Council chamber, chaos broke out. The Drenakar demanded to destroy the ship immediately. The Vectra wanted to capture her for study. The Helian Chancellor whispered that this might be the return of the old empire of man. But before anyone could act, Ilara's ship began to glow. It started as a pulse, a quiet hum, deep and rhythmic. Then lines of white light crawled across the hull like veins of living energy. Alien scanners went wild. Their computers couldn't understand what was happening. Every sensor failed to identify the power source. Contain that ship, shouted one commander. Activate suppression fields, yelled another. But nothing worked. The light kept spreading until the ship looked like a miniature sun. And then a wave, a silent, invisible wave expanded from the soulless dawn. It touched every alien warship in the area, thousands of them. In seconds, their targeting systems froze. Their weapons went offline. Even their engines shut down one by one. No explosions. No attacks. Just silence. Ships that once ruled the galaxy now hung powerless around one small human vessel. From her bridge, Ilara watched quietly. The hum faded. Her ship's lights dimmed again. The alien fleets floated helplessly. Her AI companion spoke softly from the console. Defensive mode complete, Captain. No hostile activity detected. Ilara nodded once. They will not fire now. They're too afraid. Across the Council systems, every broadcast carried her image. A lone human standing among giants, untouched, unbroken. The people of the galaxy began to whisper her name. Some called her a survivor. Others a ghost. And a few, the oldest races, remembered the stories of Earth and trembled. For 3 centuries, the galaxy had erased humanity from its history books. Now, the past had returned, wearing the face of one woman. Inside the council chamber, the High Speaker tried to remain calm as he sent another message. "Captain Voss, what is it that you seek?" Ilara's eyes darkened as she looked into the stars. "You already know," she said. "And if you have forgotten—" She paused. The silence stretched. Even the stars seemed to listen. "I will make you remember." The transmission cut off. Her ship slowly turned, facing the largest of the alien flagships. Every empire held its breath. Would she attack? Would she destroy them all? But instead, the soulless dawn stayed still, calm, silent, powerful. Then its engines pulsed once and vanished into faster-than-light space. The galaxy was left in silence again. But this time, it wasn't peace. It was fear. Because one woman had returned, and every empire knew her name would echo through history. The galaxy did not sleep that night. Every empire, every outpost, every media channel repeated the same shocking words. "I came for what you took." No one understood what Captain Ilara Voss meant, but everyone felt the same chill in their hearts. One woman, a human, had walked into the center of the galaxy and shut down thousands of warships without firing a single shot. Now, the Galactic Council demanded answers. In the massive floating city of Alindra Prime, the Council gathered. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the hall, scales, claws, metal limbs, and glowing eyes. Each species carried centuries of pride and fear. But tonight, every one of them whispered the same word: human. The High Speaker struck his staff against the marble floor. "Order! We will address this crisis with unity." The Drenakar ambassador hissed, his voice like sharp glass. "Unity? That creature violated council space. She is a threat to all life." The Vectra Admiral leaned forward, mechanical wings unfolding slightly. She didn't attack. She warned us. There is a difference. The room erupted in argument, until a hologram appeared above the chamber. Ilara's ship, the Soulless Dawn, had transmitted a file directly into their system. No one had seen such a secure code before. Not even the Council's best AIs could stop it. The hologram showed Earth, blue oceans, white clouds, cities glowing across continents. The image froze, labeled Earth, Final Day. Then the recording began. Explosions, fire, shadows of alien warships descending through the clouds. The screams of billions fading into static, and over it all, a single voice, human, desperate, angry. To whoever finds this, humanity is gone, but our memory will not fade. We know who did this. The recording ended. The council sat in silence. Some delegates looked away, ashamed. Others clenched their claws, pretending they felt nothing. Ilara's voice followed, calm but heavy. "You erased the truth. You called us monsters, but you were the ones who lit the fire." Far away, in the dark emptiness of space, the Soulless Dawn moved silently. Ilara stood before the main display, watching as data streamed across the screen, the ancient battle logs of the last human war. She was born long after Earth's fall, raised in a hidden colony, one of the last fragments of humanity scattered across dead worlds. Her people told stories about the war, but even they didn't know the full truth, until she found the Vault of Memory, deep inside the ruins of an old human base. There she saw the real history, the betrayal that ended her species. The aliens had promised peace, trade, and protection. But when humanity grew too powerful, they turned. They united and attacked Earth together. And after the final bombardment, they erased every human record, rewriting history to hide their guilt. Now, Ilara carried that truth with her. She wasn't here for revenge. She was here for justice. Her ship's AI spoke softly. "Captain, the Council is demanding communication again." Ilara looked out the viewport, her eyes distant. "Let them demand," the AI hesitated. "They accuse you of falsifying history," she smiled faintly. "Of course they do. Lies fear the light. Back in the Council chamber, fear turned into anger." The Drenakar ambassador slammed his fist on the table. She is spreading human propaganda. The past is gone. But the Helian Chancellor spoke quietly, his golden eyes flickering. What if she is telling the truth? The room froze. The Drenakar hissed again. Impossible! We destroyed their fleets in defense! They attacked us! But before he could finish, another hologram appeared. This time, it was not sent by Alara. It was an intercepted council file, locked for 300 years. The recording showed a Drenakar fleet commander giving the order to burn Earth's cities. Every alien in the chamber turned toward the Drenakar ambassador in horror. He tried to speak, but words failed him. The truth was out. The galaxy now knew who had ended humanity. On the bridge of the Solus Dawn, Ilara watched as chaos spread across the networks. Billions of aliens were demanding justice, protesting against their own governments. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt guilt, but Ilara knew better. Guilt was not enough. Truth alone couldn't heal what was broken. She looked at the glowing star map before her. Every light represented a world, and she marked one with a red symbol. The Drenakar homeworld. We go there next, she said quietly. Her AI responded, Captain, that system is heavily guarded. You cannot face them alone. Ilara placed her hand on the console. I was born alone. I will die the same way if I must. Hours later, across the galaxy, a broadcast cut through every frequency once again. Ilara's voice, calm, firm. To the Drenakar Dominion, I come not as a soldier, but as the daughter of Earth. You destroyed our world. Now I will destroy your silence. Billions stopped to listen. Children on distant worlds whispered her name. Old warriors who once fought humans closed their eyes in regret. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy began to remember the fire, the screams, the war they chose to forget. And now a single woman had returned to remind them all. The last line of her transmission echoed into the dark. The war you buried is not over. It has only been waiting for me. The galaxy could no longer hide the truth. The Drenakar Dominion, the proud iron-scaled rulers of half the known systems, were exposed. For centuries, they had told a lie. They said humanity had attacked first. They said they destroyed Earth to protect peace. But Ilara's broadcast had changed everything. Now the whole galaxy had seen the proof. It was the Drenakar who bombed Earth. It was they who burned humanity's home. And now, one woman was coming for them. The Drenakar homeworld. Drakar Prime floated beneath a storm of warships. Millions of defense drones filled the skies. Every planetary gun pointed outward. Their leaders were terrified, but too proud to admit it. Inside the Drenakar command fortress, the Supreme Chancellor roared at his generals. One ship, one woman, and you let her humiliate us before the galaxy? His generals bowed their heads, their scales flashing with fear. We are tracking her, Chancellor. The human vessel is approaching our border. The Chancellor slammed his claw against the table. Destroy her before she enters our system. I want her ashes floating in our orbit. But outside, far from Drakar Prime, the Solus Dawn was already there. Captain Ilara Voss stood alone on her bridge. Her eyes were fixed on the massive world ahead, a swirling red planet covered in storm clouds, the Drenakar homeworld. Her ship's AI spoke softly. Captain, we are within range of the Dominion fleet. Thousands of ships are forming a perimeter. Ilara nodded. Begin transmission. Her image appeared on every Drenakar military screen. Her voice echoed through their command centers. Drenakar Dominion. This is Captain Ilara Voss of Earth. I bring you the truth you buried in blood. The Drenakar commanders shouted to jam the signal, but the systems didn't respond. Her ship had already hacked through their entire network. Every soldier, every citizen on Drakar Prime saw her face. Every screen showed the same human, calm, standing against an empire. 3 centuries ago, you promised peace. You came to Earth with open hands and bombs hidden behind your words. You called it defense. We called it betrayal. The holograms changed. Footage played, grainy and old, showing Drenakar fleets attacking Earth's cities, burning oceans, and laughing in their victory. Then the last scene, a child's voice, whispering under collapsing rubble. "Mom, the sky is falling." The galaxy watched. The Drenakar citizens fell silent. Some of them wept. Others turned away in shame. In the command fortress, the Supreme Chancellor shouted, "Turn it off! Destroy that signal!" But it was too late. Elara's ship had already taken control of their entire communication grid. The truth could not be silenced again. Meanwhile, on her ship, Elara watched the chaos unfold. Her face stayed calm, but her hands trembled slightly. She remembered her mother's stories, the tales of old Earth, the songs, the oceans, the cities of light. Now they were all dust, burned by the same monsters who denied it ever happened. Her AI spoke quietly. "Captain, they are preparing to fire." Elara looked up. Outside, the stars filled with movement. Thousands of Drenakar warships powered their cannons. She took a deep breath. "Activate the veil." A ripple of light expanded from her ship. Every Drenakar targeting system went blind. Their weapons misfired. Some ships turned against each other. Elara's voice echoed through the storm. "You can destroy me, but you cannot destroy memory." Her ship didn't attack. She simply waited, unmoving, silent, watching as panic spread across the Drenakar fleets. Then, slowly, she sent one last message to the entire Dominion. Justice is heavier when you let the guilty carry it themselves. And then she cut the transmission. Inside the Drenakar Council chamber, silence filled the air. No one spoke. The Supreme Chancellor's claws trembled. His people were turning against him. Outside, citizens began to riot. They smashed propaganda statues. They shouted in anger, demanding truth. The Dominion's mighty rule began to crack. Far above the planet, the Solus Dawn floated quietly among the clouds. Elara stood by the window, watching the fires below. Her eyes glowed faintly in the blue light of the ship's console. Her AI spoke softly. "You've broken their power, Captain." Elara shook her head. "No, I've only shown them the mirror." "They broke themselves?" She sat down and opened a small box from her uniform pocket. Inside was a faded photo, her mother and father smiling under the blue sky of old Earth. She ran her thumb across it. "They'll never see this sky again. But maybe now, someone will remember it." The AI interrupted. "Incoming transmissions. Every major empire wants to contact you. Some call you savior, others call you threat." Elara smiled faintly. "Let them call me whatever they wish. The truth doesn't need a name." The ship's scanners suddenly beeped. Dozens of fleets from nearby systems were moving toward her position. The galaxy was hunting her now. Elara turned toward the map, watching the stars light up one by one. "So it begins," she said softly. "The chase." The Solus Dawn's engines powered up, glowing with strange white light. With a single flash, it jumped to faster-than-light speed. Disappearing into the void, the Drenakar world burned behind her, not from her weapons, but from its own shame. And somewhere in the deep black of space, Elara whispered to herself, "They thought they buried us. But all they did was plant our memory." The galaxy was no longer silent. Every world, every empire, every fleet was awake. One name now moved through every star system like a storm: Elara Voss, the last human. The woman who made the Drenakar Dominion fall. To some, she was a hero. To others, a danger greater than war itself. And to the Galactic Council, she was a threat that had to be erased. The Solus Dawn drifted through a sea of broken light, nebula clouds glowing like bruises across space. Inside the ship, Elara sat quietly, eyes closed, breathing slow and steady. Her body was exhausted, but her mind would not rest. The AI spoke softly. "Captain, there are new orders from the Council. They've declared you an intergalactic criminal. Every empire has been ordered to track and destroy you." Elara opened her eyes. They were calm. "Good," she said. "Let them come. Maybe chasing me will make them remember why they once feared humans." She stood, moving toward the viewport. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, sharp and cold. "Plot a random course," she said. "No coordinates?" the AI asked. "Nowhere is home," she replied. "Everywhere is memory." The ship's engines flared and the Solus Dawn vanished into the void. Across the galaxy, fleets began to move. Thousands of ships from different species, Vectra, Halion, Coran, even neutral trade worlds, joined the hunt. They called it Operation Silent Star. Their goal, capture the last human alive. Or destroy her. But hunting Ilara was not easy. Her ship was unlike anything they had ever seen. It could jump faster, vanish from sensors, and appear in impossible places. Sometimes she would appear in one system and moments later in another, light years away. Rumors began to spread. Whispers in the outer colonies said the human had technology older than the galaxy itself. Others said her ship was alive, that it carried the souls of the humans lost on Earth. None of it was true. But fear didn't need truth to spread. One night, in a quiet sector near the edge of known space, Ilara landed her ship on a deserted world. The planet was cold and covered in ash, an old mining colony from before the war. She stepped out, her boots sinking into gray dust. The air was thin, the sky pale blue with streaks of light from two dying suns. In the distance, she saw old ruins, half-buried domes and shattered towers. Human symbols still marked the walls, faded flags of sole command. Ilara walked through them slowly, touching the cracked metal. She could almost hear voices, children laughing, engineers shouting, the sound of human life that was long gone. Her AI's voice came through her earpiece. "Captain, a transmission is being sent from orbit. A small ship is approaching." She turned, her hand on her sidearm. A small craft descended, its hull painted in neutral gray. When it landed, a tall alien figure stepped out, thin with luminous eyes and silver skin. He bowed slightly. "Captain Voss, I am Envoy Serac of the Vectra Republic." "I come unarmed." Ilara watched him carefully. "The Vectra joined the Council's hunt," she said coldly. "We did," he admitted, "but not all of us agree with it." He handed her a small device, a glowing cube filled with data. "These are fragments from your people's old transmission logs. We found them years ago and kept them hidden." Ilara took the cube, studying it. "Why give this to me now?" Serac's eyes dimmed. "Because you are not the only one being hunted. There are others." "Like you," Ilara froze. "Others?" "Survivors," Serac said. "Scattered, sleeping, forgotten. The Council hid their existence to keep the galaxy quiet. But they're still out there." The air grew still. For the first time, Ilara's heart felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. She stepped closer. "Where?" But before he could answer, the sky erupted with light. Dozens of Council warships appeared from hyperspace. Serac shouted, "They followed me! Run!" Ilara didn't hesitate. She sprinted back to her ship as explosions rocked the surface. The Solace Dawn's engines roared to life. "Shields up!" she ordered. The planet's sky turned into a battlefield. Missiles streaked through the clouds. The Solace Dawn twisted and dove, glowing with white light as it dodged through enemy fire. Serac's ship was hit. It spiraled down, crashing into the ruins below. Ilara's voice trembled slightly as she shouted to her AI, "Lock onto the cube signal. Download everything." "Data transfer complete," the AI replied. "Coordinates decoded. Unknown human signals detected. Across 12 sectors." Ilara smiled grimly. "Then it's true. Humanity wasn't gone. Only forgotten." Her ship blasted upward, weaving through the enemy fleet. She didn't fire a single shot. Instead, she jumped, faster than the scanners could trace. A flash of light. Then she was gone. Moments later, silence fell again. The Council ship searched, but there was no trace. Only the burning ruins of the planet remained. The story spread like wildfire. Every world began whispering new rumors. The last human found others. The ghosts of Earth are waking. And far away in the endless dark, the Solace Dawn moved toward a new destination, a place where the forgotten might rise again. Ilara looked out at the stars and whispered, "You wanted a chase. Now you'll see where it leads." The stars were quiet again. Too quiet. The Solace Dawn drifted through the remains of a dying nebula, its hull glowing faintly under streams of golden light. Inside, Ilara Voss sat in silence, watching a holographic map flicker in front of her. 12 blinking dots scattered across the galaxy, each one pulsing faintly, each one human. The AI spoke softly. "Captain, these signals are ancient. Some are buried deep under planetary crusts. Others are inside derelict ships or blacklisted sectors. If the coordinates are real, humanity never truly vanished." Ilara leaned forward, her voice low and steady. "Then we bring them back." Her hands moved across the console, locking in the nearest signal. A world known as Iris 9, a cold, forgotten mining planet near the galactic rim. "Engage warp," she ordered. "Destination, Iris 9. The ship hummed, light bending around it, and then the soulless dawn disappeared into the dark. Hours later, the ship emerged above a gray, frozen planet. The surface was cracked and lifeless, covered in ancient mining scars. But under the ice, the scanners showed movement. Ilara descended slowly, landing near a mountain range split open like a wound. She stepped out, the cold wind cutting across her suit. As she walked toward the scanner's signal, her flashlight caught something half buried in the ice. A door, old, rusted, and marked with a faded insignia. Project Ark, Humanity's Continuance. Ilara felt her breath catch. "Project Ark," she whispered. They really did it. She placed her hand on the door. It scanned her DNA, then flickered green. The ice began to melt away, and the door slowly opened with a hiss. Inside was darkness, silent corridors, frozen chambers filled with machines and glowing capsules. Ilara walked between them, each one containing a human figure, asleep in stasis. Dozens of them. Men, women, children. Preserved for centuries, her voice trembled. "They're alive," the AI confirmed. "Vitals are stable, systems on emergency power. They've been sleeping for 314 years. Ilara touched one of the pods gently. "You waited long enough." She started activating the core reactor, rerouting power from her ship. The lights flickered to life. One by one, the pods began to glow brighter. Then, a sound, a soft gasp. The first human opened his eyes. He was older, maybe in his 40s. His muscles atrophied, but his eyes sharp. He looked at Ilara, confused, weak but alive. Who are you?" "Ilara Voss, Captain, Solus Dawn. You've been in cryosleep for over 3 centuries. The man's lips trembled. "And Earth?" Ilara looked down. Gone. Burned by the war. The silence that followed was heavy. But then the man nodded slowly. "Then we start again." Ilara smiled faintly. "That's the plan." Hours passed. More pods opened. More survivors woke. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, children. Some cried. Some just stared into space. But all of them felt it, the return of something the galaxy thought was gone. Humanity was breathing again. Ilara stood at the control panel as power levels rose. The AI interrupted. "Captain, incoming transmissions. Multiple sources. The Council knows you're here." "How many ships?" she asked. "Too many." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Wake everyone you can. Then prepare the Ark for evacuation." The AI hesitated. "You plan to defend them?" "No," she said, eyes narrowing. "I plan to remind them why they feared us." Moments later, the sky above Iris 9 filled with light. Council warships descended through the clouds, engines roaring like thunder. They surrounded the planet, their weapons locked. A voice echoed through the comms. Cold, mechanical, merciless. "This is High Command. You are harboring dangerous genetic remnants of a forbidden species. Surrender the humans immediately." Ilara smiled. "Forbidden species? You mean the ones who built your navigation systems? The ones who taught you to fly? Resistance will be met with annihilation." "Then you should have brought more ships." She cut the channel. The Solus Dawn rose from the planet's surface, glowing brighter than ever. Its shield shimmered like a living storm. The first wave of council fire rained down. Ilara's ship weaved through it like a ghost. She wasn't just flying, she was dancing through death. Below, the Ark's systems activated. Massive engines powered up, lifting the underground base from the ice. It wasn't just a shelter, it was a ship. A colossal sleeper vessel built to carry 1,000 humans into the stars. Ilara's voice echoed through the comms. "All Ark systems online. You're clear for launch." "Captain," the AI warned. "You can't hold them off alone." "I don't need to win," she said, "just to buy them time." For 10 minutes, she fought alone, dodging plasma bursts, tearing through enemy formations, disabling ships with precision strikes. Every maneuver was perfect, every shot deliberate. It wasn't rage, it was discipline. Then, as the arc broke through the clouds, the galaxy saw something they hadn't seen in centuries: a human fleet, reborn. The Council fleets hesitated. Their scanners read the impossible. Thousands of human life signs awakening across the ship. The rumor became truth. Humanity had returned. Alara transmitted one final message across open channels, her voice calm, clear, and cold. "To every world that called us extinct, you buried us in silence. You erased our name. But the universe was built on human hands, and we just remembered who we are." Then she smiled slightly. "This is only the beginning." The Solace Dawn disappeared into warp space, vanishing into the stars beside the awakening arc, and across the galaxy, every sensor, every fleet, every world felt the same thing at once: fear. The galaxy slept uneasy that night. Across hundreds of worlds, communication networks buzzed with one impossible message: humans sighted. Multiple signals confirmed. Alien rulers dismissed it as false reports, malfunctions, or fear-induced lies. But deep inside, they knew the truth. The old enemy had returned, and it started with one ship, Solace Dawn. Ilara Voss sat in her captain's chair, the stars rushing past her as the ship cut through warp space. The newly awakened Ark followed close behind, its massive silhouette glowing faintly like a rising sun. Inside, thousands of humans were waking up, one pod at a time. Doctors moved through the cryo bays, soldiers checked weapons, engineers tested systems older than their grandparents. The hum of machines filled the corridors. And with every pulse of light, humanity was reborn. "Status report," Ilara ordered. The AI responded in its calm, steady voice. "Arc reactors stable. Navigation restored. Long-range scanners show 6 more human beacons activating across different sectors." Ilara turned slowly, her eyes sharp. 6. "Yes, Captain." "They appear to be remnants of the lost fleets, all hidden, all awakening." A faint smile crossed her face. "Then it's starting." Meanwhile, far away in the Clerian Nebula, an old warship stirred beneath layers of dust and radiation. Its hull was cracked, its engines dead for centuries. But deep inside, ancient systems flickered on. The ship's name glowed faintly across the surface: UHS Valiant. Fleet Uro-7 inside the control room, lights blinked awake. Hundreds of cryopods hissed open. Men and women gasped for air, falling to their knees. A tired officer looked around, confusion in his eyes. "Report, how long were we under?" A voice from the console replied automatically. 312 years. The officer's face hardened. "Then it's time to finish the war." He stood tall, raising the flag stitched on his uniform, a torn but unbroken Earth insignia. Back on the Solace Dawn, Alara's communications screen came alive. "Incoming message, Captain. Unidentified source." The hologram flickered, and the face of the Valiant's commander appeared. "This is Fleet Commander Rice of the UHS Valiant." "Identify yourself." "Captain Ilara Voss, Solace Dawn, last surviving human vessel, until now." Rice blinked, then smiled. "You have no idea how long we've waited to hear another human voice." "Then let's make the galaxy remember it," Ilara replied. They shared a brief silence. 2 leaders from 2 centuries apart, united by the same purpose. Elsewhere. Another signal appeared, then another, and another, from the shadows of black holes, from the ruins of forgotten colonies, from asteroid bases buried beneath alien cities. The lost fleets were waking. Each one carried fragments of humanity's past. Scientists, soldiers, AI commanders, even children raised in silence. Together, they formed something the galaxy thought impossible. The reborn human armada. The Galactic Council panicked. Meetings ran non-stop. Every race demanded answers. Every world prepared for defense. The council's leader, a towering reptilian known as High Chancellor Vorn, slammed his claws onto the table. "You promised me the humans were extinct, that their systems were destroyed." A trembling advisor replied, "They were, Your Excellency, but their technology, it adapts. It evolves. They might have rebuilt themselves," Vorn hissed. "Then destroy them again, before they remember how to fight." But it was already too late. The gathering days later, in the orbit of a red dwarf star, multiple warp signatures appeared. First came the Solus Dawn, then the Ark, then the Valiant, then dozens more. Each ship emerged one by one, like ghosts returning to life. The void filled with human signals, fleets long thought lost. Survivors of ancient battles, AI ships still loyal to old Earth commands, hundreds of ships aligned in formation, a silent army reborn. Ilara stood at the viewing deck, her face lit by the glow of the assembled fleets. "They said we were gone," she whispered. "Let's prove them wrong." The AI's tone carried a rare trace of pride. "Captain, we are detecting nearly 200 vessels, most running on hybrid technology far ahead of current council systems. Then it's time we show them what they created." The broadcast across the galaxy, screens flickered on. Every network, every terminal, every communication hub, hijacked by a single signal. Ilara's voice filled the stars. "This message is for the Galactic Council. 3 centuries ago, you declared humanity extinct. You erased our history, burned our worlds, and buried our name. But you forgot one thing. Humans don't vanish. We adapt." The hologram zoomed out, showing the massive fleet behind her. "We are the sons and daughters of the ashes you left behind. And now, we've come home." Panic spread across alien worlds. Armies mobilized, fleets prepared for war. But in every dark corner of the galaxy, whispers began to spread. The humans are back. The ghosts of Earth have returned. The reborn fleet is real. Ilara ended the transmission, her voice calm but unshakable. "We didn't come for revenge. We came for balance. The galaxy grew fat on our silence. Now it will learn to listen again." The camera panned across the Solus Dawn's bridge, where hundreds of humans stood ready, eyes filled with purpose. The fleet engines roared. The stars bent. And together, they vanished into warp space. In their wake, one final message remained on every alien screen. Humanity sleeps no more. The galaxy was no longer silent. Every corner of space hummed with movement. Ships, fleets, armadas, all preparing for war. The Galactic Council, terrified by the return of humanity, declared the war of containment. They said it was to protect civilization, but everyone knew the truth. It was fear. Pure, old, unforgettable fear. The Council's decision. Inside the marble halls of the Grand Council, leaders of 20 alien empires gathered. Their faces were pale, their voices trembling. High Chancellor Vorn slammed his claws onto the table. "Humanity cannot be allowed to rise again. If they remember what they were, we all fall." A smaller alien, with glowing silver eyes, whispered, "But they are scattered." "We could negotiate," Vorn turned sharply. "Negotiate? With extinction?" The room fell silent. The Chancellor's final words echoed, "We end them now, before they remind the stars who built them." And so, the Council unleashed the largest fleet in galactic history. Thousands of warships, dreadnoughts, and carrier titans, all aimed toward one location, the Red Dwarf Assembly Point, where humanity had gathered. The human armada Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the Solus Dawn, her eyes fixed on the distant swirl of approaching ships. Beside her, the holographic projection of Commander Rice from the UHS Valiant flickered into view. "They're coming in numbers we've never faced before," Rice said. "Over 10,000 ships. Maybe more." Ilara didn't flinch. "Good. Let them see what extinction taught us." Behind her, rows of human officers watched silently. Some were from ancient Earth bloodlines. Some were descendants of survivors. And some were newly awakened from cryopods. But all of them shared the same fire, the memory of humanity's fall. "Prepare the fleets," Ilara commanded. Phase shields at maximum. Silent protocols active, the AI's voice echoed softly. Captain, may I remind you, most of our ships are running on reconstructed data. We are outnumbered 50-1. Ilara looked at the stars, calm and unshaken. They have numbers. We have history. The first strike. When the Council's fleet arrived, the galaxy trembled. Thousands of ships appeared from hyperspace, surrounding the human formation from all sides, their weapons charged. Their leaders shouted commands. Human fleet, you are surrounded. Surrender or be erased, Ilara answered softly. You already tried that once. And with a single hand gesture, the Solace Dawn vanished. For a heartbeat, confusion spread across the alien fleet. Then, human ships appeared behind them. Above them, inside their formation, they were using light warp combat, a human invention lost to time. The Council ships couldn't even track them. Explosions lit up the void. Alien dreadnoughts split apart like glass. Human cruisers moved like hunters, striking fast, vanishing faster. The war of memory begins. Every shot fired wasn't just battle, it was vengeance wrapped in silence. Human pilots screamed ancient Earth war cries through encrypted channels. AI fleets coordinated like living minds, adapting with every enemy move. On the bridge, Ilara whispered to herself, "This is not war. This is a reminder." Commander Rice's voice came through the comms. "Their flanks are collapsing! They can't adapt to our old formations." "That's because we built the tactics they use," Ilara said. "They forgot the teachers are still alive." The Council fought back desperately. Plasma storms, quantum missiles, and gravity weapons filled the dark. Entire stars flickered as the battle raged, but the humans didn't fight to win quickly. They fought to make them remember. They wanted every alien to know what it meant to face a human fleet again, to feel the dread, the shock, the awe, the same feelings that once ended wars across galaxies. The turning point, then, without warning, Ilara's ship was hit. A massive beam tore through the Solace Dawn's side. Alarms screamed. "Shields failing! Hull breach on Deck 3! Ilara gritted her teeth. "Seal it! Keep firing!" The AI's tone turned grim. "Captain, the main reactor is unstable. You must evacuate." "No. This ship started the return. It stays until the end." Outside, a Council dreadnought charged its final weapon, a planet-breaker beam meant to vaporize everything in its path. Ilara looked up, calm, even in chaos. "Ready the memory pulse," the AI hesitated. "That weapon hasn't been tested." "It doesn't need to be tested," Ilara said. "It just needs to work once." The memory pulse, the Solace Dawn's reactor glowed white-hot. Energy built up, shaking the entire ship. Every human vessel locked their shields around her, creating a web of protection. Then, Ilara whispered her final command. For every human who was erased, fire! A wave of light burst from the Solace Dawn, expanding like a star being born. It wasn't a weapon. It was data, pure ancient human memory. The wave hit the Council ships. And suddenly, every alien pilot, every AI, every commander saw flashes in their minds. Earth's oceans, cities, music, wars, and faces. They saw humanity as it was, not as history had rewritten it. They saw children laughing under blue skies. They saw soldiers dying to protect strangers. They saw courage beyond logic, and they felt it. Fear mixed with respect. The Council fleet faltered. Weapons stopped firing. Commanders hesitated. Some ships even powered down, unable to continue. Ilara's ship drifted among the silence. Smoke and sparks filled the bridge, but her voice was steady. "Now they remember," the AI responded softly. "Captain, we've changed the galaxy again." Ilara looked out at the stars, faintly smiling. Not changed, restored. Aftermath, when the light faded, the battle was over. The Council fleet retreated, limping into the void. They didn't declare victory. They didn't even speak. They had seen the truth. The memory of humanity had returned to them all, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy bowed its head in silence. Silence. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was quiet. No guns, no alarms, no war cries. Only the whisper of drifting debris and the faint glow of distant stars. The battle was over. Humanity had survived. Inside the soulless dawn, everything was dark. Fires flickered in the broken hallways. Sparks rained from shattered screens. The ship's once bright walls were now scarred with burn marks and blood. Ilara Voss sat in the captain's chair, her uniform torn, her face pale but calm. Her ship's AI spoke softly, its voice fading in and out. "Captain, life support is critical. Reactor offline. We did it." Ilara smiled weakly. "Did we? The Council fleet is gone. The Ark and the other human ships survived. You reminded the galaxy who we are." Ilara looked out the cracked viewing window. Thousands of lights glimmered in the distance. Human ships, survivors of the impossible war. She whispered, "Then humanity is awake again. The message begins." Ilara coughed, blood staining her gloves. She turned to the control panel, pressing a few keys. "Begin recording," she said. The ship's AI flickered, barely stable. "Recording. Ready." She straightened herself, her voice steady despite the pain. "To whoever finds this message, I am Captain Ilara Voss of the Soulless Dawn. 300 years ago, humanity was erased from the galaxy's memory. Today we took that memory back." Her eyes softened as she continued. "We didn't win this war by power. We won it by remembering who we are. Builders, dreamers, protectors. We fall, but we always rise again." She looked to her side, where the AI's core was flickering dimly. "You've done well, Dawn," she said gently. "You kept me alive when everyone else was gone." The AI replied quietly, "You kept humanity alive, Captain." Ilara smiled faintly. "Maybe, but it's their turn now." The Ark's transmission. Suddenly, a new voice broke through the static. It was Commander Rice from the UHS Valiant. "Ilara, we've found your signal. The fleet's regrouping near the Ark. We can send a recovery team." Ilara closed her eyes for a long moment. Then she whispered, "Negative. The Soulless Dawn won't hold together much longer. The reactor's unstable." "We can pull you out?" "No," she interrupted softly. "If I leave, this ship explodes in your middle. It's too dangerous." Silence filled the channel. Rice's voice broke, almost shaking. "Then what are your orders, Captain?" Ilara took a deep breath. "You lead them, Rice, you and the others. Build what we lost. Teach them who we were. Ilara, humanity needs you." "No," she said gently. "Humanity needs hope, and you already have that." The final act, the AI spoke again, weaker this time. "Captain!" "Reactor overload in 60 seconds. Ilara leaned back in her chair. Her eyes lifted toward the window, toward the sea of stars she once dreamed of exploring. 60 seconds, she whispered. "That's long enough." She began typing one final command. "AI, transmit my message to every human ship, every planet, every outpost that still listens." "Understood," the AI said. "Transmission ready." Ilara nodded slowly. "Then, send it." The last message. Her voice echoed through the void, carried by 1,000 relay signals, spreading to every corner of known space. "This is Captain Ilara Voss of the Soulless Dawn. To the children of humanity wherever you are, remember why we fought. Not for power, not for revenge, but for the right to exist, for the right to dream again. The galaxy will fear you. It will hate you, but it will also remember you. Because every star, every world, every language carries something we left behind. Be kind, be strong, and when they ask who you are, tell them you are human," the message ended. The light on the console blinked one last time and went dark. The Soulless Dawn's end. The ship began to break apart. Panels fell, engines flickered, metal cracked. The reactor reached its limit, glowing brighter and brighter. Ilara stayed seated, calm, silent, watching the light grow. The AI's voice came one final time, faint but warm. "Goodbye, Captain," she smiled softly. "Goodbye, Dawn." And then, the Soulless Dawn vanished in a burst of golden light, silent and beautiful. No explosion, no debris. Just a glowing wave expanding gently into space, like a sunrise spreading across the stars. Epilogue. Years later, generations passed. The galaxy changed. The Galactic Council no longer ruled through fear. Worlds once enemies of Earth now traded with human colonies, and among those worlds, a story was told of a lone woman who came from the ashes of extinction, who faced the galaxy alone, and whose final message changed everything. Children across hundreds of planets learned her name. Monuments were built on human and alien worlds alike. Her words were engraved in dozens of languages. Be kind. Be strong. Remember who you are. Somewhere beyond the edge of known space, sensors still sometimes catch a faint signal, a ghostly echo repeating through the void. I came for what you took, and when ships follow it, they find nothing. Only the quiet hum of starlight, and the feeling that someone, somewhere, is still watching.